you remember? Do you remember? I remember all those years.
Oh, I remember. Oh, remember. I remember. Oh, I remember.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Do You Remember podcast, the podcast that takes us back to happier times. Today, we're going to do a deep dive back into something that's hopefully nostalgic for us all. My name's Adam Manwa, and I am your host. And today, I'm joined by fellow comedian George D. Moore.
Hi Adam, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, man, not bad. Loving this lockdown.
I know this lockdown life is crazy, but at least we got this podcast to keep us through and keep us going. And today we're going to be talking about Scrubs. So for the people who might not know, can you give us a brief synopsis, George, of what Scrubs is?
So Scrubs is a sitcom. Well, it's a dramatic sitcom set around a group of doctors as they go through their career. Trained to be doctors in the medical field.
When was the first time you remember watching Scrubs?
Oh, the first time I watched Scrubs was probably back in, it was towards the end of my time at primary school, so it was probably around 2008. And it would follow the reruns of Friends on E4. So I would always catch it because I'd watch E4 to watch Friends. And then I just kind of stumbled across Scrubs by accident. And it was because of this accidental discovery that I kind of fell in love with the series. I seem to relate more to the characters in the show, and I thought, yeah, this is something different. I'll keep watching this.
I think that's something that used to happen a lot more back in those days, where you would kind of stumble upon a TV show because you'd be watching one thing and it just happened to be on afterwards. But nowadays, with Netflix and stuff like that, you don't really stumble upon TV shows anymore, do you? You have to go out of your way to give them a watch. They don't just automatically start playing on your screen like back in the days where everyone would strictly be watching television. I kind of feel like that's something that's been lost, and obviously you managed to start watching Scrubs out of it. So what was it when it did come on the screen that made you a fan of it? What was the appeal for you of this TV show?
So for me, I love the characters, like I say, and I love the storylines, and I loved how they were. I loved how you could go from really, really funny moments, and proper laugh out loud moments, and then shoot to like the next scene or the next episode, and you're crying. I thought it's something different, and it's something that you don't see.
Definitely, I completely agree with you. The main thing that drew me into Scrubs originally, it was the comedy, and I used to love how goofy the characters were. JD and Turk were the main characters, played by Donald Faison and Zach Braff, and I thought they were fantastically cast as these two main characters. These two best friends all the way through medical school, and now they've been put in the same hospital to go through the residency, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and I thought it was hilarious. But the older I got, and the more I got into the episodes of Scrubs, the more the sadder episodes really started to pull me in as well. And it was a genius part in the way that this TV show was made, that they could make something that was only 22 minutes long, but it could really make you invest in these characters and really make you invest from a happy side, but also in a real sad side as well when they were going through certain medical issues within this hospital scene.
I completely agree. I mean, are we going on to specific episodes at the moment, or do you want to be quite?
So what was it? What was it about the characters that made you enjoy this show and become a fan of it?
I think for me, the characters seemed a lot more real than your Bob standard sitcom. In fact, if you ask me, I think I was kind of lying to the listener when I called it a sitcom, because it isn't really a sitcom. There's more drama behind it. There's more realness to it.
When I was looking on Wikipedia earlier, it had 3 genres. It had sitcom, comedy drama and medical drama. So basically, two of the three genres are comedy, two of the three genres were drama. So it's kind of a real mixed bag. It's real hard to nail down what it is. But I thought one of the real smart parts of the TV show was obviously it was set in a hospital, and this is where the bulk of the comedy came from. Is the two main characters played by the JD and Turk, Zach Braff and Donald Faison. They were so goofy. It's completely not what you expect from medical doctors, is it?
Exactly, exactly. But the thing with those two doctors, with JD and Turk, is that they are, because of their friendship and their bond, it just shows there's almost a real heart to what goes on.
100%.
And you've got you almost feel like you're going along with their journey, as it were. That's a really cliche thing to say.
It is,
but
but
I think
you do feel like that, don't you? Because when you're watching it, you kind of feel like this could be me and my friend. We could be doctors as well. The way they were so goofy and the way they were acting with each other inside the hospital, you look at them and think they made them really, really relatable and really like you wanted to be their friend and like you wanted them to succeed, especially in the early seasons where they're not sure if they're going to make it as doctors, where they're really struggling to take everything on board. You're really getting behind them, aren't you? Like, come on, JD, do it. I want you to become a doctor. I want this to really work for you. And Sarah Chalke's character as well, Elliot, who was going out with JD, you really rooted for her and you really wanted her to succeed and you really felt her vulnerabilities as a human being and that you wanted her to make her lifelong dream come true, become a doctor.
See, it's interesting you touched on that point because you just said that you're rooting for JD. I find it very difficult to root for JD. For some reason, I've never particularly liked the character.
Wow.
I know. I mean, Elliot, I've got such a soft spot for, and I feel like she's so hard done by throughout the series, and especially in My Old Lady, where the show opens with JD narrating saying 1 in 3 patients admitted to hospital die. And it sets up this whole scenario of JD, Turk, and Elliot all have a patient. And JD's patient is this 70-year-old woman who is suffering from like liver failure. There's a young lad that's like in his like teens who I think he had a heart condition, and then you had this Spanish woman who who had no English, who was Elliot's patient, and all through it, because of this language barrier, she's relying on Carla, who is the like the main nurse throughout the series, and she is trying to build the confidence and find the confidence in her job, and she's so dependent on everyone else's opinions. And then by the end of the episode, she learns not to want everyone's opinion, and she wants to, and she should just trust herself because she knows what she's doing. And for me, every time watching that, it's like, wow, you know, she is very much the underdog of the series. I feel. I don't know about you. How do you feel about that?
No, I think you are right. She's kind of the underdog of the series, but I mean, the reason why I so relate to Zach Braff is obviously he was the main character. He's quite relatable. The fact that he's a male with brunette hair. I'm a male with brunette hair. You can just look at him and be like, okay, this is kind of the most relatable character to me, just from an aesthetic standpoint. And he's the main character, and I think that's why a lot of these TV shows were made back in the day, so like males can relate to their main character, and that was one of the issues with the television industry for so long. The representation wasn't really spread out too much, but I think Zach's character was really, he just, I don't know, the way he was just so goofy, and like it just he just seemed more real and more like what me and I mean, obviously I was a child at the time. I was probably about 14 years old when I started watching, but it was more like what I could picture myself being when I went into the adult world. Still goofy, still wanting to mess around with my mates, but at the end of the day, being driven and wanting to focus on a career. And that's why I think I really related to Zach Braff's character. And obviously, he was also a little bit on the nerdier side. He was always kind of always trying to prove himself to Turk. He was the cooler friend, and it was just
Yeah,
one of you really wanted. And obviously, he had the bigger brother who then didn't his brother sleep with Elliot, who was JD's girlfriend for a while, so you really did feel for him. There's the episode where the dad dies and
yeah,
he has to look after the brother. There's so much going on. I mean, obviously we're covering a lot of ground here because there's 9 seasons and we're only going to be talking for about an hour and a bit. So there's a lot of ground to cover, but there's so much within the seasons that made me really feel for Zach, and especially how he's trying to prove himself to. Is it Dr. Cox he's trying to prove himself to?
yeah. Dr. Cox,
Yeah, he's trying to
who
prove
in
himself.
himself,
For years and years he's trying to prove himself to him, and it's just kind of regardless of what he does, it's pretty much never good enough. And even when it is good enough, he'll just get like a short word of encouragement, and then that's it. He's got to prove himself all over again.
yeah. But I think their relationship of Dr. Cox and JD's relationship is written so well. Um, I mean, you've throughout the series, you've got JD and Dr. Cox. Dr. Cox is the mentor for JD. JD can never live up to Dr. Cox's appraisal.
Yep.
And then there's some real like dark times in the series when Dr. Cox is showing real vulnerability. And it was it's quite hard hitting because you see almost this very boy in JD who's just having to try and be the serious one, and it's those poignancies are very difficult.
But no, I completely agree with you. And there's a lot of things that they really flipped on the head in this series. Like one of the things that I found really interesting. Well, I didn't find it as interesting at the time. It's only in later years that I find it interesting now. As stand-up comedians, we're always very aware of our surroundings and what's going on. And I've noticed in a lot of jobs, people really treat like the janitors and the cleaners and the custodial agents, they kind of treat them like beneath them because they're doing like a real like tougher job and a dirtier job and a more hands-on job. A lot of people
Yeah,
always treat them like dirt and look down on them. Whereas in Scrubs, it was the other way around. It was the janitor, and he was giving JD shit all the way through the series. And I really liked that flip of it in this TV show because it brings humour to the situation. Because I think in reality, when it's the other way around, and it's a doctor who's earning about 50 grand a year, and it's a janitor who's earning 15k a year, and the doctor's giving them shit all the time, which is what happens in real life. That's a really nasty vibe. But when you flip it on its head, and it's the underdog who's giving the doctor shit, I think that's where a lot of the comedy came from, and was a really fantastic trope that they used in this TV show.
I completely agree. I mean, I've never even thought of it like that, to be fair. I thought Neil Flynn's characterization of the janitor is stunning
Oh, for sure.
throughout the show. But no, I've never viewed it like that, and I've never seen it like that. But I completely see that. It's a really nice. I suppose it's really nice having this conversation with someone that's equally as interested in Scrubs as I am, because a lot of the time when I'm watching Scrubs with friends, it's their first time seeing it.
Sure.
So having someone that's got that knowledge, it's really refreshing. But yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's all just theories from me, but I think that's what they did. I think that was one of the things that they used, and I kind of wish that I'd watched it more recently so I can pick other parts out of it. but these just things that like come to my mind and stuff like that. But I think that is something that was very interesting, and they kind of make it like a 50-50 relationship. How JD's kind of the underdog, and sometimes he'll get the upper hand on him, but the janitor will always end up getting the best of him. But the janitor's always he's never really looked upon as like a bad guy character, which you would think in a TV show when someone's constantly antagonizing the main character, you would see them as a bad guy, but you never see him as the bad guy, do you?
No, no, you don't. And there are some real moments where you are rooting for the janitor, like when he has when he has the crush on Elliot, and he wants to like admit his love for Elliot, and you part of you thinking, "Oh, this is not going to end well," and then after a while, you kind of go, "No, go on, go for it, go and ask it. Why not?" And then obviously it doesn't work out, but
You got to shoot your shot, don't
really,
you? You got to shoot your shot.
yeah. I mean, I've just because I'm only part way through rewatching the series. It's been a few years since I've watched Scrubs, so I've only just started rewatching it, and I'm on series 5, and I've just looked ahead just to see what happens with the characters, and when the janitor gets married, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about it, to be honest with you.
But like that's like I bet when I come to watch that, it'll be a lot more different from when I watched it as a kid. And just like, it's a wedding, cool. I bet there'll be different emotions coming out and be like, oh yeah, go for it, janitor. Yeah, man. I mean, I love how we're both just referring to him as janitor because neither of us know the janitor's name.
Yeah, the only
And
time
they make a joke of that.
the only time I remember his name coming up is when he refers to himself as Dr. Jan Etor. That's the only time I remember him referring to a name for himself. So George, we touched on like the janitor and Turk and JD and Elliot, but let's take a more of a deeper dive into the characters. Who was your favourite character in this entire TV show?
My favourite character is Dr. Cox, 100%.
Okay, why is Dr. Cox your favourite?
I love the character because it's the way that he has all this real hard ass attitude, and you're thinking, oh well, you're just a dick, you're horrendous, and then you'll go and see when things come crashing down for him, and you're like, wow, this. I mean, Johnny C. McKenzie. I think that's his name. He is a fantastic actor, and he plays the role so well. I love how he's had me laughing and he's had me crying. He's just he's an absolute gem of a character.
Definitely, they make him a real sympathetic character, and the way they do it is fantastic. And his name is John C. McGinley, which is, funnily enough, the same as one of Bolton's greatest ever strikers, John McGinley. So that's how I remember it. It's John C. McGinley, but he might pronounce it slightly differently. I don't know. But yeah, as a character, Dr. Cox, I think he was absolutely fantastic. Again, you're right. You think he's a hard ass at the beginning, and then he becomes more of a sympathetic character when you realise that his wife's left him and all this stuff's going on. And then we'll go on to our favourite episodes later on. I don't want to touch on it just yet, but there's one episode that's absolutely stunning that I really love, and it makes Dr. Cox a really, really sympathetic character where you really want to get on his side and kind of pat him on the back and like rub his shoulders a little bit and go, it'll be all right, mate, it'll be all right. But we'll save that for a bit later on.
That's fine. I mean, I'm just trying to guess which one it is. I think I know which one it is, but I'll
it's an
reveal that later.
It's an incredible one. But like, I thought Turk and JD's relationship for me was the driving force in the TV show, because I always wanted to see what stupid stuff they would get up to and what ridiculousness they would get up to. All the because the great thing with TV shows is when like you make loads of different characters and then you make them start interacting with all the different ones, which is great.
Yeah.
But for me, nothing in Scrubs ever got better than the two main characters and when they interacted with each other. Because not just the way that they reacted as characters, but the chemistry that Turk and JD both had, that Zach Braff and Donald Faison both had, was absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. They could bounce off each other so much. And I really wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the stuff that we saw on screen was never scripted. And it was just stuff that they were given a script, they recorded the script, and then they did so much bouncing off each other, they ended up just taking all the stuff they bounced off each other with. Because it was just super. The way they reacted to each other was just cool. And like when I was a kid, I used to absolutely love watching it. And this is one of the reasons why I really wish I would have watched it again so I could have seen some of this stuff back and be fresh to memory.
I mean, it is a real breath of fresh air watching it again. I mean, like I say, I'm literally partway through season 5. I've got an episode paused, like I said, as we are talking. And yeah, it is that that relationship is absolutely stellar. I mean, they were watching I was watching like a reunion. And it was Zach Braff was giving an interview, and I forget you've already mentioned his name, but I forget the name of the actor who plays Turk.
Donald Faison.
Donald Faison, yeah. He just comes out of nowhere, gives him like a kiss on the cheek, and smiles at camera. Then like, yeah, you are real mates, and your mates are real, right? Like that. It's not a fake friendship that you have just for because you're doing a job. You know, there is real chemistry there, like
Exactly.
you say.
And it really, really shines through. When you watch things like this and like American Pie as well, all those became good friends off screen. When you watch things
Yeah.
like this, it really shines through when that friendship is real. And just to give an example of one where it's not real, is I don't know if you ever watched The X-Files, but the relationship between Scully and Mulder in real life was never a good one, and they had a real like dodgy relationship with each other, and it kind of comes across. There is a certain tension on screen when I'm not a huge expert on the X Files or anything for that matter, but when
Yeah.
you watch them watch them interact on stage on screen, there is a certain tension between them. But here, that chemistry is absolutely spot on. And then, you might not remember this, but there was a 90s TV show called Clueless, and it was a spin-off of a film. And Donald Faison, he was in that. So when I came to watching Scrubs, I recognised him straight away from Clueless, and I was like, oh, I want to watch this because I used to like him in that. So
Oh right, okay.
he's one of these actors who probably started at like a decent young age, probably teenage
Yeah.
years. Was in Clueless. It's a really iconic TV show, and then he ended up in Scrubs, another iconic TV show. But since then, he's kind of fallen off the map a little bit, and I don't remember what he's done since.
I think they all got together for. Oh, it might have been like 90210. It was one of those TV shows, and a load of Scrubs alumni appeared in it. I can't remember the life of me what the series was called.
Right, okay.
That'll come back to me later on. But that's yeah. I think he's in that.
Oh, I've just remembered another film that he's in. Actually, he's in a film called Remember the Titans, which is a Disney film, and it
Is he?
yeah, and it is one
Is
of the
he?
best sports films ever. Yeah, he's in Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Oh, I only discovered that year before last. But wow, that's a stunning film.
It is a masterpiece, that film. I love that film.
What's there's a quote in it that me and my friends at uni, if we were going through quite a rough time, we'd quote "Remember the Titans," and I can't remember the quote now. That's gonna annoy me. But yeah, no, it's you're giving me more stuff to watch. This is brilliant. No, I need to get stocked up on TV shows and films, and I need to find just more stuff to watch now that we're in this lovely isolation.
Well, that's why I wanted to do the podcast. I wanted to kind of remember like not just now when all this is going on, but like in general, it's nice to look back on stuff that we used to enjoy and kind of remember it for its good points. Because a lot of times we outgrow things and we stop watching them, or TV shows once they finish, we kind of discard them and don't go back to them again. But I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of things from the past that we can look back on and really appreciate the things that we did enjoy. And another part of Scrubs that was really really good was the theme tune "I'm No Superman."
I've got that on numerous playlists now.
I'm not
Laszlo
surprised.
Blaine.
Laszlo Bain, yeah, I'm no Superman. What that was just a great tune to use for the intro.
Well, it's something that now I'm in. Now I've got a bit more time on my hands. I've been really focused on my guitar,
Okay.
and that's a tune that I'm wanting to learn, just because it is an absolute belter of a track.
And like it perfectly encapsulates the kind of mentality of like being a doctor as well. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to help, but I'm no Superman kind of thing. So great choice. Absolutely loved it. Let's talk about some favourite episodes now. We touched on it a second ago. My favourite episode of all time. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one where Brendan Fraser dies.
My yeah, my mistake.
My
Yeah,
mistake. What a
yeah,
masterpiece of an episode. We go through the entire episode thinking that Donald Cox, Dr. Cox doesn't want to go to a birthday party. He doesn't want to go to his daughter's birthday party. It's a big stress that he has to arrange it and all that stuff. And he gets to it at the end and he said, and like we always think that Brendan Fraser's character is alive all the way through it, and then at the end it turns out that it's not a child's birthday party and that they've turned up at Brendan Fraser's funeral and JD turns to Dr. Cox and is like, "Where do you think we are?" And it just zooms out, and you start, and it pans across the graveyard, and you start to see where you are. And it is such a powerful episode. I absolutely love that episode.
that episode for me has inspired me to write numerous just scripts and films. In fact, it inspired my first film at university.
Right?
So it
Okay.
was only a short, but we liked the idea. Me and the person who was kind of she was actually the director, and we both loved the idea of the pullback and reveal.
Yeah.
So I told you the wrong name of that episode title. It's My Screw Up.
There you go. My
Um,
screw up.
I've just, like I said, I've just run back into my room and found the DVDs. But yeah, no, that pullback and reveal, and how earlier on in the episode you're actually told that he died, but it's hidden in such a way.
Oh, are you? I
You're
don't remember
told,
that.
yeah. So at the start of the episode, JD is treating a patient. Um, and then at the same time, Brendan Fraser comes back in after traveling the world for a good year or so. And Dr. Cox says, "How's the leukemia? How's your tests?" And he's like, "I haven't been for any." And he's like, "That's something that you should be doing. Um, Even though you've gone into remission, you should be going for regular checkups just to make sure and keep on top of it." Um,
Hmm.
so he goes off to take some tests, and JD gets put, um, is the one that's responsible for these tests. Um, and he keeps coming backwards and forwards from treating his original patient and treating Brendan Fraser's character.
Hmm.
So when he goes up to Dr. Cox and says, he's gone into cardiac arrest and we weren't able to revive him, you're thinking it's the original patient.
Do you know what? It rings a bell now you mentioned that. It does ring a bell.
And it's only been this time around watching it. I mean, I've seen that episode probably 10 times. And then the first few times watching it, I didn't understand anything that's going on. And then it's only been this time around did I realise, oh, you find out that he's dead. But then that pullback and reveal still hits you.
Yeah, sure.
Because of the characterization of Dr. Cox.
And the
Because he goes
emotion,
from having
the
that
emotion that,
emotion,
yeah,
and the fact he's playing it off for jokes,
it,
and
it's a
and it just
really
hits
clever piece
home.
of writing. It's a really clever, well produced bit. I cannot, properly word the admiration I've got for everyone who was involved with creating that episode because it's superb from the acting to the writing to the casting to the camera work to the directing to the producing. Everything about that episode is absolutely spot on. It's one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen, and it's only about 23 minutes long.
It is. I mean, I would say um, that the two episodes with Brendan Fraser's character in are stunning. Because if we're talking about my screw up, we need to talk about his diagnosis episode.
Sure, and just
Because
for reference as well, at the time, Brendan Fraser is one of the biggest movie stars in the world. The Mummy's
he
like
is,
all over the place in the cinema. The Rock's about to be cast in it, and that's going to be the Rock's big break into movies. Brendan Fraser's like at the moment, he's not really got a huge cachet in the world of like popular culture, but at the time, he was a huge star.
yeah. Because that was the thing. Because I watched it, and I was a bit too young for the Mummy, but I recognised him from George of the Jungle,
Right,
believe it
okay.
or not. So I was like, oh wow, okay, I recognise him. He's pretty cool.
And this is another
And
thing that Scrubs was really good at is they were getting these mainstream celebrities to take part in it. Again, Colin Farrell was a really big name at the time. He was in an episode, at least one. Heather Graham, I think she had a multiple cameo appearances in it, and Heather Graham was like a huge star. What was Heather Graham in now? She was in not Doctor Evil. She was in Austin Powers, um, and I think Matthew Perry was even in an episode after Friends had finished.
yeah, Matthew Perry's character is incredible because it is like you've just plucked Chandler Bing and put him in a Scrubs episode because he is that quick with his dialogue and his comedy. It's just I didn't even know about this episode. Well, I remember it vaguely, but I didn't recognize how. I didn't realize how funny it would be. Um, just excuse me, my dog's having a bit of a bark at probably passers-by.
It's all
Um,
right. It's just that your dog. All your dog is trying to do is tell us their best memories of Scrubs, which I get it.
yeah, exactly.
Your dog's been sat there with you watching all these episodes and like, hey, when you going to ask me my opinion? I've got stuff to say.
He probably likes uh, he probably likes Rowdy.
Yeah,
Probably feels quite sorry for Rowdy.
that's true.
Um,
For dogs, Rowdy's a very sympathetic character, and that's one of the genius parts of Scrubs is they made it for dogs as well.
they did.
So yeah, what's your favorite episode or episodes?
Oh, oh, you thing is, you've taken mine.
That's okay. I mean, we can completely
I no,
agree. If it
I can't remember the episode. Well, I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's when Dr. Cox is seeing someone different. So seeing this girl, uh, and Jordan comes back to basically for a booty call.
Mhm.
And it's towards the end of the episode where Dr. Cox is almost given the ultimatum, pick me or her. And he talks like he's picked the girlfriend. And he goes up to make a drink. And he's like, I knew it was always going to be you. And the camera shows the girlfriend, passes across Dr. Cox, and then shows Jordan in the girlfriend's place. And it's a really clever camera shot.
Mhm.
But it's like, it just, every time I'm like, that's fantastic. I mean, for me, because I'm ex-film student, it's like all the clever camera shots and the, you know, cuts and edits. It's just anything with a clever edit for me makes my heart melt. It's incredible. The whole JD getting back together with Elliot. So when Elliot moves in with JD, Turk, and Carla, and JD says, "Oh, night to Elliot," goes back to the room, and you hear "Dreaming of You" by The Coral playing underneath.
Oh, that's another thing, is the soundtrack all the way through
Oh,
is very, very good.
it's stunning. I've got the soundtrack as a playlist on Spotify,
Yep.
and there's so many tunes on there. I mean, I was in a nightclub a few weeks ago, and they had Little Respect,
Oh, yeah.
and I was singing along to it. I was like, "Why do I know this song?" I was like, "Oh, Scrubs," and I think I put a thing out on Facebook saying, "Oh, thank God for Scrubs."
That is a great episode there. I've just remembered another one where Nurse Laverne Roberts dies.
I've got that to come, but yeah,
Oh, it's such
I
a sad
remember it.
episode.
Is that the one that's How to Save a Life? No, that's
very possibly, yeah, I think it's about season 7 when she dies, which kind of lines up for when to save a How to Save a Life was out. So yeah, very possibly, yeah.
So I don't think I'm ready for it. But yeah,
It was great, like the emotion that's put together in this TV show, because this isn't the kind of TV show where they kill off the main characters. They killed off Brendan Fraser, and that was a big enough deal, and he was only in it for like 2 or 3 episodes. But
yeah,
Nurse Laverne Roberts, she was in it, I think, all the way through from season 1, and she was this very like respectful character that everyone respected. And they kill her off towards the end, and it was like, oh my God, it was quite an emotional episode.
but that I
That's the beauty of
respect
Scrubs,
the
isn't it?
writers. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just they're not afraid to do that. I mean, in the first episode of the pilot episode, they kill a patient off, and you think, oh, they could have. On first few watchings of it, I was like, oh, that patient is no one. It's just a plot device. But you realise earlier on in the episode that you actually meet them,
Yep.
and you've almost built even though he only appears in one scene with JD, it tells you a lot about the character, because he says something along the lines of, "For you, I'll take the test."
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you've got real heart. And yeah, like when you find out at the end that that's the same patient that's died, it's like, whoa. But again, it's the joys of multiple watchings. You know, I learn new things about each episode every time I watch it.
It's a very layered show in that aspect, that you can't catch everything the first time round, and they do hide little kind of Easter eggs throughout the show, that, like, breadcrumbs, should I say, that lead you to the final reveal, that you don't catch all the breadcrumbs leading up to it, so you do have to kind of watch it back again, and that's one of the reasons why this is a really well written show. And just to go back to cameo appearances, I remember you mentioned Jordan before. Her sister in the TV show, Tara Reid, she was just coming off American Pie fame, so she was huge at the time. She was like a huge socialite at the time as well, so that was a huge get. But what was your favourite scenes then? We've talked about favourite episodes. What are your favourite scenes from Scrubs?
For me, I loved Dreaming of You. That was a real, very much of, yes, you've got,
For those
you're
who
meant
don't
to be
know,
together.
let us explain.
Okay, so it's what I touched upon earlier. So when Elliot gets cut off money wise from her folks. Ends up moving in with JD, Turk, and Carla. And JD and Elliot, they've had this on and off relationship throughout the first 2 seasons. And you find out that there is something there, but neither of them want to admit it. So they're making small talk, bid farewell, and go off to their separate rooms to go to bed. And as they're walking into the rooms, Dreaming of You by the Coral plays, and JD almost, you see it in his eyes, kind of goes, "No, this is my chance," and goes to knock on the door. Or goes to goes to like see Elliot, who sees JD, and they start making out and they get together. But it's in time with the music, and it's a really well shot scene.
Yeah, so we talked about our favourite scenes from the TV show. And did you say that you watched it when you was about 10 years old, 12 years old?
Yeah, it was around that time. That's when I first started watching it.
Yeah, because I think I watched it when I was about roughly the same age. I think it was about 13, 14. And this is just a weird side note just for me, but did you ever watch it and think, do you know what? I kind of want to be a doctor.
Yeah, I did, to be fair.
You see, I did that as well. But then, do you know what stopped me? I had a moment of realism where I thought, do you know what? If I do that, it's going to be a lot of hard work, and I'd have to save people's lives. And if I didn't, that'd be fucking gutting. And I thought, do you know what? Nah, I can't go down that route. I can't do all that hard work to see people die, so I'm not doing it.
With me, I was like, yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't. I think the rush and the feeling of if you've saved a life would be incredible. But then if you came close and sadly the patient died, I think that would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's something that the show explores.
It does, and I think it does it excellently as well.
It does. It does. I mean,
in fact, 1 second. Let's take it back up a notch. We've not mentioned Bob Kelso. We mentioned his dog before, but we've not mentioned Bob Kelso. So, what were your opinions of Kelso?
I thought he was a brilliant antagonist for most of the characters in the show. I thought the way at the start of the show you think, he is the person, and that the one that everyone can call on, and don't worry, even though Dr. Cox is being very harsh, you've got Dr. Kelso who will be able to just scoop you in his arms and look after you until the end of the episode, when you realise actually no, he's the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the only character in it who's a bit of a bastard, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I mean, it's played for laughs, and it's done really, really well.
Yeah, he's not too harsh, but he's just a bit of a bastard.
Exactly. I mean, the I always think back to the episode when it's early on when Ted says, "Next one who pushes me and who bullies me, I'm going to end it all."
Yeah.
And eventually someone makes a pop at him or makes a comment. So Ted takes himself off to the top of the roof, and after some encouragement of himself, he eventually. To be fair, I think he falls off. I think he slips. I don't think he actually brings himself to jump. But he's so happy as he's falling towards Earth.
Yeah.
And then he lands in the rubbish bin on top of all the rubbish bags. So his fall's broken. And Dr. Kelso is at the top of the roof, looks down and goes, clean yourself up and get back to work.
Yeah.
And it's the way he delivers it. It's hilarious. But you're there going, you're awful. You're so nasty.
It's such a dark moment, but like, yeah, that brings out his bastardness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you said you're up to series 5, aren't you, at the moment? So what's going on currently where you're up to?
So what's happening at the moment is Turk and Carla have gotten married. So that happened at the end of series 3. Then throughout series 4, they've been having like marital issues. And at the end of series 4, they decide that they want to have a child. Meanwhile, JD and Elliot from absolutely hating each other at the end of the series 3 to being able to somewhat coexist at work. And at the start of series 5, Elliot's got an internship at another hospital, so they don't see each other then. I think it was just in the most recent episode they were talking about them two and the chemistry that they had and how they got on really well.
See, now
in fact,
you seem to be kind of at the part where like Scrubs seemed like kind of peaked for me, because it kind of peaked by like season 6, I think, and I think that was the real end to Scrubs. It carried on until about season 9, but I don't know if you remember this, but season 7 was right in the middle of like the Hollywood writers' strike. Do you remember that?
I don't actually. No, I don't remember the Hollywood writers' strike. If I'm honest.
So around 2007, 2008, like the Writers Guild of America, they went on strike. It was probably about something to do with pay or something like that, but basically they went on strike and it ruined a lot of TV shows, because at the time, all these TV shows that were going hot and heavy, they all of a sudden had no writers left, and they either had to carry on with whatever they already had written, or they had to just like fudge it, just like ad-lib it kind of on set or whatever. I don't remember the specifics about how they got around it, but yeah, the writer's strike killed off a lot of things, and it struck Scrubs in season 7. That's why season 7, if you look at it, is only like 11 episodes long.
Oh wow, yeah.
And like all the other seasons is like 24 to like 22 to 25 episodes, and then once it hits season 7, it's like literally half. The season before had 22, and then this season had 11. Then afterwards they go back up to 19, and then they kill it off in the last season with 13 episodes. But 5, 6 is where it kind of reaches that kind of peak of like, this is the end of Scrubs, and after this we're going to start the decline, and season 7 was really the decline for me. And then when they started to bring in the new doctors like James Franco's brothers in it, isn't he? Dave Franco's in it. When all those started to come in, that's when it really jumped the shark for me, and it really reflected in the views as well. And even after the writer's strike, NBC weren't running it anymore. I think they cancelled Scrubs. They relinquished the rights to it, and ABC got a hold of it. And then that's when, yeah, again, it just completely went off a cliff for me.
Am I right in thinking that Disney owned part of Scrubs at one point?
That rings a bell, but I'm honestly not too sure either way.
Because I'm sure at the end of the episode they do the show the. I'm trying to look on the back of DVDs. ABC Studios, and that's what, season 3. And then
I think they moved to ABC in season 8. They were NBC up until season 7. That's when the writers' strike hit, and then they went to ABC. So I think ABC might be a Disney affiliate. I'm not too sure on that one.
They might be the distributors. They might be the ones that are selling the DVDs, because this box set, I think, is all ABC Studios branded.
Ah, fair enough. Is it the full box set of all seasons?
Yeah.
Maybe they just got the rights to it at the end. I've got the individual DVDs up until about season 7 there. And do you know what? I was really excited, yeah, because in 2007 I started university, so I'd never seen this show this season because I was in uni. I didn't have a TV, And back in those days, you couldn't just stream everything like you could now. Bloody hell, how old do I sound? It was only 2007. I suppose that's almost 15 years ago. But yeah, there's no streaming and really stuff like that in those days, so I couldn't watch this. So I had to buy the DVD. And I heard about the writer's strike, but I just thought it was kind of like an old wives' tale kind of thing. Oh, it won't really, like coronavirus a few weeks ago, and everyone was thinking, oh, it won't really affect me, and now we're on mega lockdown. It was kind of like that. Everyone knew about it, but they didn't really believe in it yet, the writer's strike. So that's how I was feeling about it. And then I got the DVD, and then I watched it. It was like 11 episodes, and then I was watching it. I was like, these episodes are crap. What the hell's going on here? And yeah, it was really disappointing that like I was so looking forward to watching this DVD set, and that's what I got out of it.
See, I'm not looking. I'm part looking forward to getting onto Series 7 because. Oh no, it's next series. I think it's Series 6 when Laverne dies. I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, because I think that was supposed to be the last season, and I think they pushed it on for one more season. Then that was the look of this show. They were like, right, we'll do 6 seasons. Then once the 6 was finished, they're like, do you know what? We'll just do one more. They decided to do one more, and then all the writers go on strike, and they're like, crap, we should have just finished it on 6.
I know, and then God knows what they were thinking with 8 and 9.
I think that was just a case of should we just milk this until it's dying death, and I think that's what they did. But it still had some moments. To be fair to it, it still had some moments in those later seasons, but it just wasn't my Scrubs. It wasn't the Scrubs that I lived and dreamed of. But we get that with a lot of TV shows. I was talking about Shameless recently with a mate of mine, Damien, on the podcast, and we were saying the same thing. How early on, Shameless was fantastic, but then once he started to dilute it, then by the end of it, it was just completely unrecognisable.
Well, thing is with Shameless, that's another series that I haven't watched all the way through. I think the furthest I've got is Series 8, and that's when I'm trying to remember all characters. When you know the girl that's the prostitute.
Oh yeah, Kelly.
Yeah, when
Kelly
Kelly. Yes, when Kelly gets starts getting together with Marty, and then they go on that drug escape. They just go right off the rails, and I think they both do heroin.
I can't remember that. It was so long ago since I've seen that season, but it's been quite a while. I'm actually going back through it right now because I started it for the podcast. I watched all of season 1 ready for the podcast, did it, and I thought, what, I've got to crack on with season 2. But yeah, I'm going back through that myself. But just like you're doing with Scrubs, actually, maybe I'll end up starting Scrubs as well, and I'll finish that off too.
Oh no, you should definitely do it. I mean, I've yet to not finish a TV show. I've just finished The Good Place.
Are you? I've not finished The Good Place yet, but are you one of these that once you start something, you've got to finish it regardless?
Yes.
I'm like that as well. There's only one show that I remember really giving up on, and that was The Walking Dead. Once they killed the guy with the baseball bat, they killed him like what was he called? And his eye came out of his skull.
I know who you mean.
Anyway, when they killed that guy, I was like, do you know what? They've peaked. They had my interest, but they've killed him now. I'm not interested anymore. I just had to. I was sick of. Oh, we're being chased by zombies. Oh wait, now we're safe with other humans. Oh wait, now those humans are turning bad. Oh wait, now we've killed those humans. Oh wait, now we're safe. Oh wait, the zombies are back. Oh, now we're running away. Oh, now we're safe with other humans. Oh, those humans have gone bad again. And it was just an endless cycle of that over and over again. And I thought, no, I can't be doing this. Get off me TV. But I'm completely with you. When I start a TV series, I have to finish it, and I do stay a fan all the way through, even to its dying days. But let's give an overview now. We're kind of near the end. What is your overview of Scrubs then, as an entirety? What's your opinion of Scrubs?
I think Scrubs is the best non-sitcom ever. I think it's absolutely. It's my favorite. It's my favorite show. Yeah,
I agree with you because
stunning.
I have that kind of view of it, of like, even though it did go off the rails at the end, I view it for the good days, and I remember that happy. I'm kind of like someone who's come out of like a really bad friendship, but just remembers it as like the times that we had good, and like I forgot the time that he nicked 50 quid out of my wallet. I'm one of those. I'm like, yeah, I remember the good days. I remember when we was having a laugh. I remember the first couple seasons of Scrubs, the first 6 when it was hot and heavy, it was quality. And overall, what would you rate? I mean, if you're saying that this is your favourite show, are you giving this a 10 out of 10? Is this a 10 out of 10 show for you?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna be
definitely.
I'm gonna be a bit more grounded with my analysis of Scrubs. And I'm gonna give it about an 8 out of 10 just because of that how it fell off at the end. Don't get me wrong, it had me in those early days, but because it fell off so badly, I'm gonna give it an 8 because it was a nice strong show, and I do really enjoy this show, and I really do enjoy looking back on it, and I've really enjoyed this conversation with you. But yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is about spot on. But like I say,
That is fair. I mean, like I say, I was saying to you before we started recording, I don't think I've watched it all the way through. I'd like to say I have, but I don't think I have.
so
But
yeah,
what?
you got some. Don't get me wrong. There's no real terrible episodes, but it does get to the point where it's like, why are we doing this episode? This isn't Scrubs anymore. You've taken it to a place where you've changed the level. You've changed the level for me. But yeah, before you get off here, George, is there anything you want to plug before you get off?
No, I mean, if you're listening, you're in the York area. Um, Wizard of Oz with any musicals towards the that's coming to York this November. Look out for me. I'll be the one allowing or not allowing people in to see the Wizard. But yeah, that's at the Joseph Roundtree's Theatre. I think tickets are on sale now.
Nice one. So hopefully all this isolation is all ended. Then November comes around, and if you're in the York area, go and see my man George in the Wizard of Oz. Right, George. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Absolutely no problem. Thanks for having us.
No worries. I've been Adam Anwar. This has been the Do You Remember podcast. We'll see you all soon with more episodes.